In 2019, The Lighthouse, starring Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson, trapped audiences in a world of seclusion, superstition, and spiraling madness. The storms, the endless fog, the descent into insanity. It feels like a fever dream. But the seed of this nightmare comes from a very real event that happened over 200 years ago, the year 1801. Off the storm-battered coast of Wales stood the Smalls Lighthouse, an isolated wooden tower perched on a cluster of jagged rocks miles from shore. There was no radio, no rescue boats on standby, only supply ships visiting every few weeks, if the weather allowed. Manning the light were two men, Thomas Howell and Thomas Griffith. They already had a reputation for not getting along. In such a confined space, that tension could be unbearable. One day, Griffith suddenly fell ill. Some accounts say it was an accident. Others hint at sickness worsened by the damp, freezing air. Within days, he was dead. For Howell, the nightmare had only just begun. If he threw the body into the sea and rescuers later found him alone, he might be accused of murder. So he built a makeshift coffin from driftwood and lashed it to the outside gallery to keep it out of the living space. But the sea was merciless. A violent storm shattered the coffin, leaving Griffith's corpse exposed to the elements, and to Howell's constant view. Howell was trapped for weeks. Every time he stepped outside, the body was there, swollen from seawater, its features distorted, its lifeless arms swinging in the wind as if beckoning him. The smell seeped through the cracks. The sound of the waves and the creak of the lighthouse were his only companions. He had to maintain the light alone, fight the storms alone, and keep his sanity while death quite literally hung over him. When a relief crew finally arrived, they found Howell barely recognizable, gaunt, pale, and wide-eyed, his beard matted, his clothes stiff with salt and grime. They brought him back to shore, but his ordeal became the stuff of maritime legend. The incident was so infamous that it led to changes in lighthouse staffing, eventually requiring 3 keepers instead of 2, to prevent such horrors from happening again. Robert Eggers took this grim seed of truth and reimagined it for the lighthouse. 2 men trapped by isolation, tormented by each other, and by things that may or may not be real. In the film, myth, madness, and monstrous visions swirl together like a storm at sea. In real life, the terror needed no supernatural creature. Isolation was the monster. Whether in 1801 or on the silver screen, the lesson is the same. The sea can take your life. Isolation can take your mind.